So the key thing about autoregulation is that it's about local perfusion, opposed to maintaining mean arterial blood pressure. So myogenic response, this is a type of autoregulation. So autoregulation, this is dealing with local tissue perfusion. Perfusion meaning the fluids getting to a tissue, fluid, blood, how well the tissue is getting blood. So if a reminder first, arterioles are the main blood vessels that can respond dramatically in terms of contraction, that constricts, or relaxation. This tunica media is made of smooth muscle, and the smooth muscle can contract to cause constriction of the blood vessel. So this is a review from we talked about last week, basics of arterioles. We might have normal, a thick tunica media here. We could have vasoconstriction, which is causing that lumen to be smaller, therefore reducing blood flow. Or we could have vasodilation. The smooth muscle will dilate, relax, vasodilation. This is going to increase blood flow. And this mechanism is important for all types of autoregulation, as well as some nervous system regulation of resistance, right? Resistance is, this decreased flow is because of increased resistance. This increased flow is because of decreased resistance. But now I want to tell you what this myogenic response is. We're going to see this again in the kidneys. So with myogenic, what we're having is a reaction to the stretch of the smooth muscle. So I'm going to choose a different color here. We have increased flow. We're going to have increased stretch. And this is going to cause the blood vessels to constrict. This vasoconstriction is reducing blood flow. So negative feedback, look at that. It's a kind of protection mechanism to respond to this increase in flow. If you have decreased flow, so low flow coming through an area for whatever reason, this is going to have reduced stretch. This is going to cause the blood vessels to dilate, allowing for that flow to freely occur. So this is a way of locally responding to blood flow with just vasoconstriction or vasodilation based on stretch. Myogenic, myo's muscle, just generated by the muscle itself. We will look next at chemicals that can, local chemicals, paracrines that can affect autoregulation as well. So the second kind of intrinsic control or autoregulation is chemical. And this is actually a lot, there's going to be more to this than the myogenic control. So remember, autoregulation, this is local conditions within the tissue, local control based on local conditions. So myogenic was based on blood flow. Chemicals are going to be based on what chemicals are present. These are going to be typically paracrine signals. Autocrine some as well, right? That means on the same cell, but these are local signals. It's not coming from the blood vessels carrying it from an endocrine organ. And this is going to be control of those precapillary sphincters, as well as vasodilation or constriction of the arterioles to get the tissues what they need typically. So typically when we think about it as like increased perfusion when we need it, like we're exercising and our skeletal muscles need it. Digestive system is one that also will be regulated dynamically based on when we ate last. So chemical signals are going to act on the precapillary sphincters. You remember those. And even if you don't, you can like think about What is that? Well, let me show you a picture. This is what I showed last week as well, the same image. When precapillary sphincters are relaxed, that means they're open. Here's some precapillary sphincters kind of spread all throughout the arterial end of the capillary. When they're relaxed, blood can get through them because they're open. So relaxed means open. When those capillary sphincters are constricted, blood flow cannot get through here. So it's going to pass through the middle, only one channel, and not going to have perfusion. So these are closed, and we have low perfusion in these tissues. This is going to be high perfusion. And this is regulated just by the local conditions here. So chemical signals working on those capillary sphincters, shutting down very quickly and temporarily, if needed, the blood flow to that region. So what would cause these to open or close, or the arterioles to dilate or constrict? Well, let's have an example. How about decreased oxygen? What might that do? That is going to result in opening. And we're talking about where? We're talking about in the tissue here, locally in the tissue. So interstitial fluid, that's going to affect levels locally. It's actually, oxygen is acting as a paracrine signal. So decreased oxygen, opening of capillary sphincters, precapillary sphincter, sorry. And what else? Vasodilation. So that we can have increased blood flow to this region to give it more oxygen, because oxygen is low, we need to increase it. All cells need oxygen to survive or they will die. Similar, high carbon dioxide. It's going to have basically the same effect. Decreased pH, production of hydrogen ions. We'll come back to pH regulation a little bit at the end of the semester. Super important thing to maintain pH for your proteins to stay happy. What else? Gonna have some other ones that I want you to be able to like apply things. If I've given some information, these ones being the main ones. Another one similar is increased adenosine. This is going to represent the production of and use of ATP. So if we're using a lot of ATP, we're going to need to have more blood flow in to provide more oxygen and glucose to make more ATP. Other metabolic acids, so that's related to pH. High metabolic acids are going to give you a low pH. That's going to cause increased blood perfusion. And one more that I want to tell you, this is a whole lot more, like lots of stuff regulates local blood flow. The last one I want to tell you is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide increasing, same thing there. Same effect. It's a powerful vasodilator. It's released from the endothelial cells. This is actually how erection occurs, increases blood flow to the penis and clitoris as well. Other things, body temperature, inflammatory signal like histamines. Yeah. So this is local, right? We don't have like hypoxia occurring in this individual, low oxygen in the whole body. This is like my skeletal muscle is working a lot and oxygen levels very slightly and temporarily decrease. So we're going to increase blood flow to that skeletal muscle so that it can keep functioning.